You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. More specifically, we're going to talk about Mike Tomlin's future because we actually got a report from an NFL insider about what it seems like Mike Tomlin's going to do. Now, keep in mind, there's been a lot of speculation over the idea that he could end up walking away after this season, requesting a trade, setting out a season, all this different kind of thing. Florio, Rappaport, Glazer's real tight with Tomlin, too. Threw that out there. Schefter threw that out there. We did that video. But before we get to what's going on with Mike Tomlin, we got to get to what Steelers fans thought was their franchise quarterback. I thought that. I told you. I was a Kenny Pickett guy. And it's clear Mason Rudolph outplayed him. I'm not even sure it was that close, to be honest with you. I mean, it just looked that bad from Kenny Pickett. Now, he had Matt Canada, but this Steelers team's got weapons. This wasn't like Mac Jones and the Patriots not having any offensive weapons. No, the Steelers got weapons. Well, Kenny Pickett was supposed to do his media obligation. What I mean by that is at the end of the year, they meet with the media and do sort of a, we're about to disperse. This is our final little presser. All right. And we'll see you next year, blah, blah, blah. The media ask him some questions, and you guys know I'm not a big fan of the media, but nonetheless, Kenny Pickett decided to take his ball and go home. Now, I got to tell you, I was a big Kenny Pickett guy, but the more and more his attitude and this feeling of entitledness continues to grow and expand, the less and less I like him. And so let's look at this. Kenny Pickett's career is quickly at a crossroads. This is Florio. Steelers' starting quarterback was essentially benched for Mason Rudolph late in the season, with Pickett not returning to the lineup once he recovered from an ankle injury that required surgery. It has raised real questions about the future of the position in Pittsburgh. Keep in mind, there was that scathing report that came out that he refused to play the backup role. All right? And while Kenny Pickett seemed to not appreciate that, the fact is, the prior week, he had a lot of attitude talking to people. And it felt like then something wasn't right. Pickett apparently didn't want to face any such questions about his future during the annual media availability that happens on the final day of the year when players conduct exit interviews after they clean out their locker. Via Ray Filippotti of Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, Pickett wasn't present for the routine Q&A. A first-round pick in 2022, Pickett has been very affordable and fully guaranteed salaries of $1.83 million in 2024, $2.623 million in 2025. Even if he's not the starter, the Steelers can keep him for 2 years as a backup. Absolutely. Absolutely. He's very affordable as a backup. And the thing about it is, I don't expect them to hand Mason Rudolph this job. Now, look, they may go get Baker Mayfield, all right? Or they may go get Russell Wilson. And the fact is, if Tomlin decides to hang around, and we'll get to that, this offense with a new offensive coordinator might look a lot different. Maybe they cut the Las Vegas Raiders off at the pass and throw Cliff Kingsbury a bunch of money to come over here. And we know that Kingsbury is one of these sort of quarterback gurus, right? So maybe somebody can come in and save Pickett. Pickett might not like that. He could, in theory, ask for a trade. The question then would be whether another team would want to do that deal. Pickett's career passer rating is 78.8. He has 13 touchdowns, 13 interceptions in 25 games. With all due respect to Pickett, there's nothing he does that's remarkable or spectacular. There's never been the kind of eye-popping throw that would prompt someone to say, wow, do that again. It's all very meat and potatoes, and the meat is Salisbury steak, and the potatoes came from a box. Mike Florio, do not knock instant potatoes, even though I know my wife hates them. Nonetheless, look, I think there's a world where Kenny Pickett can still play. All right, I do believe that. 6 touchdowns, 4 picks, 2,000 yards. Here's the part that would bother me the most. This is PFF ratings of all the quarterbacks for the year. Now, this is not a flawless system at all, and there are faults in it, but you just take somebody like Jake Browning. I mean, Jake Browning actually finished the year ahead of Joe Burrow in performance, believe it or not. Jake Browning, it should be, I think he's under contract, and he's going to be locked in Cincinnati. I don't think there's any way he can get away. But if he could get on the open market, he would be in the running to start for somebody's team, all right? But you've got a lot of guys. I mean, Tyrod Taylor is ranked higher than Kenny Pickett right now. So it's not great. He's down in this Deshaun Watson, Ryan Tannehill, Easton Stick, Aiden O'Connell. I mean, there's rookies in here. Joshua Dobbs. That's not great territory to be in. All right? That's not great territory to be in. I don't know how the hell Gardner Minshew graded way down here. I mean, if you ask me, who would you rather have, Gardner Minshew or Kenny Pickett? Right now, I'm taking Gardner Minshew, and I'm not sure it's that close. But nonetheless, you get my point. You would think he would want to come back, but who knows at this point? So, this, of course, was after the Bills lost the other day. Tomlin was asked about his contract.
Anyone?
Mike, you have a year left on your contract.
All right, and he stormed out. We all saw it. He stormed out. Well, Mike Garafolo of NFL Network reported this today. The problem is, so far, this is the only person, and look, Garafolo's one of the best, but this is the only person that seems to have this right now, and that's great. I mean, he's got 3 million views on it. In a team meeting today, Mike Tomlin told Steelers players speculation about him stepping away is unfounded, and he plans on coaching the team in 2024, sources say. Now, those sources are most likely probably players that are talking to the media. Tomlin, who is entering the final year of his contract, is expected to address the media later in the week. You can bet your ass we'll be watching for that, and we'll probably do a video on it, I'm sure. But the point is, he's saying he's coming back. The Steelers want him back. There's no confusion there. Look, he had that very ugly stretch, all right? And things got very ugly. We covered that. The Arizona loss, the Patriots loss, and the Colts loss was the worst 3-game stretch I can think a playoff team has had in a very long time, and Steelers fans were destroying Mike Tomlin. They had the pitchforks out. They were ready to run him out of town. Now, the only problem is if you run him out of town, you better have a great plan because the guy he made the playoffs this year. And honestly, if they'd actually played Sunday in the bad weather and TJ Watt, if he could have been healthy for that game, I don't know. I mean, that's a different defense with him in there, right? They were missing a couple of other pieces on defense. If that's a healthy team, I think that game looks different. And even at that, the Steelers tried to make a game out of it. So, I mean, Mike Tomlin is so valuable. And if he was on the market right now, there would be teams, you could guarantee the Falcons would be calling him in, the Chargers would be calling him in, the Raiders would be calling him in. He would get plenty of play. The Seahawks would definitely want to take a look at him, I would think. But if you're the Steelers, if you think he's got designs on not hanging around, boy, there's a lot of good coaches out there. A lot of good coaches out there. I know there's no ties with Harbaugh and the Steelers, but boy, yeah, you want to talk about a coach that feels like Pittsburgh. Blue collar, just hard nose. That was my thing about the Bears not getting rid of Eberflus. Now, Tomlin's light years better than Eberflus, But the point is, man, if you're the Bears, I'm sorry, Matt Eberflus, I'm giving Jim Harbaugh a blank check, and Eberflus is hitting the bricks. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, that's crazy. Vrabel's out there, Belichick. Pete Carroll still wants to coach, you know? I think that's a pretty easy line to draw, even though they beat him in the last. See, that's the point of Tomlin. They go into Seattle, and hell of a tough place to play against the NFC kind of complement version of their team, and they pull it off, you know? That's why they don't want to lose him. My suspicion is this offseason he probably gets like a 2-year extension. That's all I can speculate. Garofalo is saying that in the meeting with the players, he's coming back. I guess we'll see. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.